Let's start with one that might surprise you: fried foods and fast food. I know how common they are, and I know how comforting they can feel. A crispy piece of chicken, a basket of fries, a quick burger on the way home. It doesn't sound like much harm, especially if you're used to eating this way for years. But here's what most people don't realize. Those meals are loaded with saturated fats and trans fats, and over time, they act like sludge in your bloodstream. They narrow the tiny blood vessels, including the ones that lead to your lower regions, and slowly reduce the flow where you need it most. And the tricky part is, you don't notice it at first. One day, you just feel a little less energy. Then things start working a little less reliably. And you start wondering, is this just age? But often, it's not just age. It's what's been building up in your arteries, meal by meal. I've worked with many older men who've told me the same story, but I'll never forget George from Texas. He was 68 when we first spoke, a retired welder who'd lived what he called a hard-earned meat and potatoes life. For decades, he stuck to his routine: coffee and fried eggs in the morning, burgers or drive-through lunches, and big steak dinners. He felt proud of staying active, but around 65, he started noticing changes he couldn't explain. He told me, "I'd wake up and not feel that firmness I used to, not just in that area, but in myself." He was more tired, more irritated, and frankly, more embarrassed. He didn't talk to anyone at first, not even his wife. Eventually, during a routine checkup, he mentioned it to his doctor, who ran an ultrasound of his pelvic arteries. The results were clear. Blood flow was being restricted, and diet was the #1 suspect. That moment hit George hard, not because he was scared, but because he realized it wasn't about losing manhood. It was about how he was feeding the engine. We made a plan together. He didn't go vegan. He didn't count calories. He just switched his daily fried lunch to something grilled or oven roasted. At first, it was chicken or salmon with a side of roasted veggies. After a month, he started waking up feeling better. After 2 months, the spark came back. His words, not mine. One of the easiest ways to start improving blood flow, especially to the areas that matter most, is to cut down on deep-fried food and fast food. You don't need to go cold turkey, and you don't need to give up taste. Just try swapping one fried meal a day for something grilled or baked. Instead of fries, go for roasted potatoes or a baked sweet potato. Instead of a fast food burger, try lean meat on whole grain bread made at home. These small shifts can make a big difference, especially over time. Your body isn't giving up on you, it just needs a little help. You're not being punished for liking fried food. You're just at a stage in life where every bite either helps you or hurts you. And the good news is, your body still listens. Your veins, your energy, your confidence, they're not gone, they're waiting. You don't have to change everything at once, but you do deserve to feel good again. Start small. You're stronger than you think, and yes, life still has plenty of flavor to offer. Here's another one that often catches people off guard: sugary drinks, including sodas and so-called energy boosters. I understand how it happens. You wake up a little groggy, you want something to perk you up, and that familiar can or bottle feels like the quickest fix. It's easy, it's everywhere, and it gives you that jolt, at least at first. But what you might not realize is that every time your blood sugar spikes from those drinks, your blood vessels take a hit. That sugar triggers inflammation in your arteries and reduces something your body desperately needs: nitric oxide. That's the compound that helps your blood vessels relax and open wide, especially in the areas down below. Without enough of it, blood simply doesn't flow where you need it to. So over time, these drinks that seem harmless or even helpful are actually working against your circulation, your energy, and your confidence. I've had this conversation many times, but one that stayed with me was with Ronald, a 72-year-old retired teacher from Illinois. He told me that for over a decade, he'd start every day with a can of cola. "It just helped me get moving," he said. Sometimes 2 cans, one mid-morning and another after lunch. He wasn't drinking coffee, he wasn't snacking much, so he figured it balanced out. But as he hit his late 60s, things started to shift. He noticed that his energy crashed mid-afternoon. He got irritable, and, most concerning to him, things in the bedroom weren't working the way they used to. He blamed age, stress, even the weather. It wasn't until his doctor ran a blood test and pointed to signs of chronic inflammation that Ronald began looking at his diet. We walked through his daily habits, and those sodas stood out. I suggested he try just 1 week without them. He looked skeptical, but agreed. Instead, he drank water with lemon in the morning or warm, unsweetened tea. Within 3 weeks, he said he felt lighter, like something in his body had calmed down. A month later, his energy was up, his sleep was better, and yes, his intimacy returned to normal, all because of one small change. One of the simplest ways to support healthy blood flow is to reduce or eliminate sugary drinks from your daily routine. Start your day with a full glass of water. Add a slice of lemon or cucumber if you want flavor. Try herbal teas, especially warm ones that soothe the body. And if you miss the fizz, switch to sparkling mineral water. It keeps the experience enjoyable without flooding your bloodstream with sugar. These swaps are easy to make, and they give your body the space to heal. Your blood vessels are like tiny rivers. When the water is clear, everything flows better. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. But by letting go of that one sugary habit, you're opening the door to better circulation, better mood, and better mornings. Your body hasn't stopped working. It's just been asking for something different. Even the smallest step can take you somewhere better. Now, here's something most people don't think twice about: salt. Not just the salt you shake on your food, but the kind hiding inside packaged meats, canned soups, chips, and pickled snacks. When we talk about blood flow and circulation, especially down in the pelvic region, we have to talk about sodium, because what happens with too much salt is this: it increases your blood pressure, and high pressure over time makes your blood vessels stiff, narrow, and less responsive. That includes the smaller vessels that support intimacy, stamina, and healthy oxygen delivery throughout the body. And when those vessels lose flexibility, blood simply can't reach certain areas the way it should. And yes, that leads to problems you may already be noticing. The frustrating part? It creeps in slowly. You don't feel it after one salty lunch, but give it a few months or years, and suddenly your energy, your blood pressure, and even your confidence take a hit. I remember one particular patient who made this real for me. Frank, 66, from Michigan. He was retired from auto manufacturing, and he told me that salty snacks were just part of life for him. A handful of chips with lunch, pickles on the side, smoked sausage at dinner. Nothing crazy in his eyes, but just always there. He didn't see it as unhealthy because he wasn't overeating or gaining weight, but the problems started to add up. First, it was occasional headaches. Then it became nightly wake-ups with a pounding heart. His doctor put him on blood pressure, meds, and over time the list of prescriptions got longer. But what really bothered Frank was how disconnected he started to feel. From himself, from his body, from his partner. When he came to me, he said, "I'm doing everything they tell me, but I still feel like something's off." We looked closely at his meals, and it was clear the sodium was through the roof. I didn't ask him to change everything overnight. We started small. No more table salt, no more cured meats. He learned to flavor his meals with garlic, lemon juice, fresh herbs, and olive oil instead. Within a few weeks, his sleep improved. 2 months later, his blood pressure came down, and he felt sharper, more alert, and more present with his wife. That smile he had when he told me, "I didn't know food could do that. That's why I do this work." What often helps older adults the most is making just one change at a time. If salt has been a regular part of your meals, you don't need to throw out your entire routine. Just start by removing the salt shaker from the table. Switch out packaged deli meats or sausages for lean boiled or grilled options. Try adding lemon, herbs, garlic, or even a splash of vinegar to give flavor without raising your blood pressure. You'll notice that your taste adjusts within a couple of weeks, and soon those overly salty foods won't even appeal to you the same way. Your body wants to help you. It just needs the chance to do so. You don't have to give up everything you enjoy, and you don't need to become someone you're not. But each time you make a lighter, cleaner choice, your blood flows a little better, your heart works a little easier, and your energy comes back. You're not just eating differently. You're giving yourself another chapter, one where you feel strong and steady again. Atemi bring up something that seems harmless but has more impact than you'd expect. White pastries and refined. Carbs, I'm talking about white bread, crackers, cookies, sweet rolls, and most breakfast cereals. These foods raise your blood sugar fast and high, and when your blood sugar does that too often, it triggers a chain reaction in the body. More inflammation, more insulin resistance, and more trouble for your circulation. And what a lot of folks don't realize is that circulation problems don't just affect your heart or legs. They start showing up in the bedroom, in your energy levels, and in how clearly way your body responds to signals, especially for men. Over 60, these changes can feel personal, even frustrating, and it's easy to assume it's just aging. But very often, it's not just your age, it's how your blood vessels are reacting to what's on your plate. I remember Walter, a 70-year-old retired accountant from New York City, who came to me with a very quiet concern. He told me he was feeling slower, duller, and like he couldn't get started in ways that mattered to him. At first, he thought maybe it was the winter blues or just being less active, but then he noticed that his mornings were always foggy and that his interest in intimacy had dropped off entirely. It's like the wires are still there, he said, but there's no electricity. I asked him to walk me through a typical day, and what stood out was his routine: toast with jam or cookies with tea in the morning, more white bread at lunch, and dessert most nights. None of it extreme. But day after day, year after year, those quick sugars were pushing his insulin up and his blood vessels down. We didn't cut everything out overnight. I had him start by swapping breakfast: cookies for a bowl of oats with frozen berries and a spoon of almond butter. Then we added a slice of real whole grain bread instead of white. And when he wanted something sweet at night, we reached for a few squares of dark chocolate or a baked apple with cinnamon. 2 months later, Walter said something I won't forget. "I feel like I'm living again, not rushing or buzzing, just awake, even down there." That's when I knew the changes were working. One of the easiest ways to support circulation and hormonal balance is to start replacing white, processed carbs with whole, slower digesting ones. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to shift the balance. Choose brown rice instead of white, oats instead of sweet cereal, dark chocolate instead of sugary snack. These foods help keep your insulin in check and give your body the steady energy it needs to maintain blood flow where it matters most. You're not giving up joy. You're just choosing a version of it that gives something back to you. It's like switching from a sugar rush to a real sunrise: softer, steadier, more alive. Change doesn't have to be dramatic to be meaningful. Even one new breakfast can start turning the lights back on. Let's take a moment to talk about something that's often overlooked: too much fatty meat and organ meats in the diet. I know that for many men, especially those over 60, these foods have been part of their life for decades. A few strips of bacon in the morning, sausages on the weekend, maybe a bit of liver now and then. It feels normal, even traditional. But here's what often goes unnoticed. Those heavy animal fats are packed with saturated cholesterol, and over time, they build up in your arteries. The smaller and more delicate the blood vessels, the sooner they start to narrow. And unfortunately, the blood vessels in your pelvic area, the ones responsible for healthy function and blood flow down there, are among the first to be affected. So what feels like a harmless habit actually turns into one of the biggest culprits behind sluggish circulation, energy loss, and those frustrating moments when things just don't work the way they used to. And the hard part is you don't feel it happening until one day you do. I still think about Sam, one of my longtime clients from Ohio. He was 69 when we first spoke, a former truck mechanic, proud of being active and very committed to what he called real man food. That meant bacon with breakfast, fried sausage sandwiches for lunch, and, more often than not, liver and onions for dinner. He didn't smoke, didn't drink much, stayed busy, and figured that was enough to stay healthy. But then he started noticing changes: a little less energy, a little more trouble sleeping, and more importantly, he felt distant from his wife in ways he couldn't quite explain. He said, "I thought maybe I was just getting old, like there's a switch that flips after 60. But during a routine blood test, his doctor flagged high LDL cholesterol and early signs of vascular stiffness. That's when we talked. I didn't tell him to go vegan or give up everything he loved. That doesn't work for most people. Instead, we built a new rhythm. 3 days a week, he kept his meats, but 4 days he switched to fish, boiled eggs, beans, and avocado. He started roasting vegetables with olive oil and seasoning instead of reaching for the frying pan. After 6 weeks, his labs improved, but what mattered more to him was how he felt. Clearer, more alive, as he said. And his confidence came back too. One of the easiest and most effective ways to protect your blood flow and reduce cholesterol stress in your body is to balance out the heavy meats with lighter, nourishing options. Try making fish, eggs, or plant proteins like lentils and beans your go-to meals for most of the week. You don't have to give up red meat. Just let it be part of your diet instead of the center of it. Season with herbs, cook gently, and enjoy how much lighter and more energized your body feels in return. Your body is always working for you. It just needs the right building blocks. Think of it like upgrading the material in your engine. When you give it better fuel, it runs longer, smoother, and stronger. You're not giving up your traditions. You're giving yourself more time to enjoy them, one plate at a time. If even one of these foods is part of your daily routine, don't worry. This isn't about restrictions. It's about making choices. Let us know in the comments what surprised you the most or what you'd like to try changing first. Give this video a like, hit the bell, and stay tuned. We'll be sharing more simple but powerful tips to help you protect your health, confidence, and joy in life. And most importantly, you are not alone. Your body wants to help you. Just give it the chance. Life goes on as long as you keep holding its hand.